just the pure beauty of the place. It's almost healing. It's absolutely beautiful here. I've lived in Devon for almost 30 years, but when I came to Dartmouth, it was even more beautiful than the other parts of Devon I've lived in. And I just feel very, very lucky to live in such a beautiful place.
The actual beauty of the place is fabulous, and the community is very strong. Everyone I speak to has a strong view about what should and shouldn't be happening. So people clearly are passionate and they care about the town, and that's wonderful.
I think it's got lots of positives. I think we're all very good at looking at the negatives sometimes, me included, and very good at saying things aren't like they used to be. They're not, you know, and that's just the fact of life. I think sometimes you've got to embrace what we've got and try and make the best of it. But I think the thing that sums it up for me is if I go away anywhere and then come back, then you realise actually we haven't got that much to moan about. Okay, we haven't got the services sometimes and the facilities, but nor of the cities. At least we live in a nice part of the world. Despite people saying, you know, them and us, I think we still have got a fairly close-knit community. And I know if I'm in trouble or need help, there's people out there. And I think Dartmouth's very good at that. We might not be good at recognising it sometimes, but I still think we have got a good community. And on a sunny day, where else do you want to be? The main challenge as a fire service we were finding was it's quite easy to identify the vulnerable groups. We got data and statistics. The thing that we found challenging was then as a uniform service, how are we going to meaningfully engage with those people? Sometimes we can be seen as a threat, somebody in uniform, and that's when we started working with other organisations, and those organisations can be anything from other emergency services to your social services, care groups, doctor surgeries. I think if there's somewhere that people can go, I mean, I think the town have got some good engagement now. There's lots of good work being done by lots of organisations. I think sometimes the key or the drawback can be if it's not communicated properly. And it would be nice if there was a hub or a centre and people knew that they could go there and get the correct information, and if they can't get help there, at least be advised, or somebody there to be able to assist those people getting the needs and the support that's there. And very often people that are vulnerable they're not aware that some of the support is there for them.
Say for instance, there's people who the community chests deal with who don't necessarily have an address, so they're not necessarily registered with a doctor. If we had a community hub, that we had a doctor who was willing to pop in and socialise even with the patients as opposed to doctor them, maybe then they could persuade them to come in if they did need any treatment or anything like that. The idea of having a community hub here, I think it's just what we need.
I would just like to think that it would be one of those places that I could just, if I was downtown, or even if the hub was set up town still, it would just be somewhere I could just drop in, say hello, hopefully recognise people that I know, probably say hello to those I don't know, and then build those relationships, find out about people, what they like, what they don't like, and then just build from there and encourage that community spirit, which I think Dartmouth does have, but it could be improved.
Yeah, so I think something that would really be of great help for the community, for residents, is some kind of hub, because it means that they can come to a location and they can potentially meet up with a variety of different agencies and other community members, which would be an absolute wonderful thing, an absolute gem, because people can find that problems can be resolved, signposting can take place. It could be that in residents are signposted directly to somebody stood next to me from another agency, so problems get addressed quite quickly in that way.
I think certainly people find, if people have a need, by and large they're finding solutions. There's enough people in town, with the food bank for example, who know it exists. There's enough people who know, I mean, if you are struggling, need help with benefits, someone will point you in our direction and you'll end up here. Or you'll go to Totnes, the CAB, and they may then refer you back. But that's not a very smart way of working. And if people can muddle through, doesn't mean it works well. It means people are going without for longer than they need to.
Some people like the isolation of Dartmouth. It certainly is nice, you know, a good environment. It's a lot lower crime rate. You know, it's a good town, Dartmouth. But we really do have a lack of infrastructure in this town. It's the most basic needs of any community in this country, such as a police station, disappear. Services are suffering. Bus services to other towns, transport links in the town, the NHS, doctors, shops closing, banks. We've just lost our last bank. It affects people in different ways, and that's everything from lack of social activities and leisure activities to lack of food on the table. It's weird. We've lost the police station, we've lost the hospital. These are vital services, and yet we have to live without it. If you were to take something like the CVS, the Citizens Advice Bureau, drop-in clinics, you know, the housing associations, if people know they're there, people know they're going to be listened to, a chance, you know, to be listened to, and that is sometimes half the problem. From their side of view, and we've heard this publicly, if they have a base that cuts down their overheads, therefore they're more likely to turn up. They don't have to look for their own accommodation, they don't have to hit a brick wall. They're working with the local community. We are welcoming them. A hub where people know they can get help would revolutionise the thinking of a lot of people in this town. And I genuinely do believe that, because the isolation, which I've mentioned in the past, would be decreased, would be distinguished. You wouldn't have to spend £14 to go to another town on a bus. The ferry, I mean, you know, a car going across the ferry is £7 or £8 now. Getting people together would help everyone. I mean, it really would. And that's all service providers, from those who want help with credit unions, right through those who need to speak to the police. The hub in Dartmouth would be the safe spot, you know, Dartmouth's safe location, Dartmouth's place where that sense of community spirit will grow. It is something that people have tried to do in this town out of their own front rooms. We use spaces like this community hall. In the end of the day, it's a business, you know, we have to pay rent and overheads. We use, you know, the market square, we use the guild hall. But do people always feel safe in those locations? No. The idea of a community hub as well is something that's come from residents themselves, come from ordinary people who care about their town and are able to do this as a group together. We're not forcing people into one location, we're building it together.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Youth Genesis provides activities where young people can learn informally around different life skills, and also working with young people to try and understand some of the problems and issues that they may face, and work with young people to co-design and produce projects which can help them overcome their issues. Youth Genesis works across Torbay and in some parts of Devon. As the Crafty Fox as a hub has grown in the Foxhole area of Paynton, we've started to connect more with them and link up with what they're doing, and we've started to use the Crafty Fox as a base because a lot of the young people and the families know that project, so for us that kind of makes sense. For us it's developing those relationships with young people, and it's developing those relationships with other agencies, and it can take anywhere between 6 to 18 months. But with the hub you can go in and have those conversations with local residents, you can have the conversations with other organisations that are doing different projects, and you just get a better feel. And I think you can then take that timeline right from 18 months down to about 6 weeks. From the feedback that I've had, it's very well used. People feel that they can drop in. And also, a lot of people who could potentially be socially isolated have started to come in and volunteer and get involved in that way. It's built their confidence. For some people that have been experiencing low-level mental health issues, it's helped them overcome anxiety, low mood, because it gives them a purpose, and they're connecting with other people. And again, it's building those relationships and it's feeding them, and it's been such a positive experience. I think for local residents, for them to go somewhere where it is non-judgmental and there's a sense of informality, I think is really important, and to not have that space might be a bit more difficult for those services to go in and provide that support in a very real way. There's been a lot of support around domestic abuse, and people that have been experiencing domestic abuse but don't feel that they could come forward have been able to access help in a very confidential way. So again, I think for me it's been a very, very, very powerful piece of work.
My name is Wendy Price and my role is TQ6 Community Partnership Coordinator. For me to have a community hub in the area would mean that anybody can come along and use the space. It would be a safe space, it would be an unjudgmental space, it would be growing organically. At the moment, all the community spaces that we have are spaces that can be rented. What we'd like is a permanent space, somewhere where everybody always knows where to find us. We're not going to be moving around. There won't be any confusion. They'll know where we are, and they'll know it's a safe space, and they'll know they'll be welcomed, whoever they are. Hopefully it would be a flexible space where we could have different areas for different things that might be there on a more permanent basis alongside us, and then have a flexible space that could be used for different things at different times. That would be ideal. I think having somewhere where people can do what they want to do is vitally important in the community. If it's arts and crafts, then I think it's been scientifically proven that it improves your mental well-being to be physically active. It improves mental health. It's therapeutic. There are local services and agencies who are already willing to work with us as part of a hub. It will take time for others to come on board, but that's fine. That's what we're here for. We're here to build relationships with those people, and if they do eventually want to come on board, then they'll be, more than welcome. I think the only way that people at the moment can make their voice heard is by protesting. Well, nobody's protested about the closure of the banks because nobody knows how to do it, really. I think people feel that they don't have a voice so much now. The decisions are made up at governmental level, local government. No matter how loud they protest, it falls on deaf ears. I think that's how people feel. As the hub develops, it could change. Given that if the right people are receptive, and the relationships are built up with the right people, then we could certainly, it's possible. Anything is possible with the hub.